You're failing at medical school, you're about to go to the dean's office, and it looks as if you're about to be kicked out. What to do? Well, don't give up. I can help you. First of all, there's several questions you have to ask yourself. The first one of these is, do you really want to be a doctor? Are you at medical school just to please your family, your parents, your relations, your school that you went to? Do you really have a burning ambition to be a doctor? Now, you've got to ask yourself this and be honest. But before you answer it, and certainly before you act on it, because if you check out of medical school, it's going to be almost impossible to get back in again. Let's go to point number 2. Are some of the problems you're having at medical school related to some of the subjects you're studying in the early years? You know, when I look through some of the standard curriculum, there's things like anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, immunology. You know, these are very dry subjects. Don't get put off by these, you know. They can be a bit, well, boring, you know. And you may be asking yourself, well, do I really need to know all this anatomy if I have no intention of being a surgeon? Do I really need to know all this physiology if, you know, not really want to be an anaesthetist? Or the pharmacology, if I'm not going to be an anaesthetist? Or the immunology, if I'm going to be a family practitioner? You know, it's hard to know, but you want to keep your options open. And there's some subjects you just have to study and put up with whatever boredom or tedium there is associated with it. Do you know, anatomy, we were taught, and we had to use this textbook where there were no pictures. And it was just terrible. A fascinating subject that I actually came to love because I'm a surgeon. But it was just terrible, and it's very depressing reading this recommended anatomy textbook until I got to discover Grant's Atlas. It's a beautiful atlas that conveyed the love of the subject by the authors and the inspiration they received from it, and they were able to pass it on. So when you get to your second year, you might be starting to do things, infectious disease, cardiology, or respiratory medicine. This is where you're connecting the knowledge more with the patients. It becomes more fascinating. So don't make a premature decision based upon some of these boring early subjects. Third thing is, maybe you're depressed. I mean, a lot of us get depressed at times, and it is treatable. You can be depressed for a variety of reasons. The huge amount of work you have to do. There may be some issues in your personal life, relationships, all this sort of thing that we have all our life. If you are depressed, please go and get treatment. It will be available through the faculty or the university, and it's easily reversible. Everybody is supportive and understands this. The next thing is, approach the dean's office for some help. My God, you're not the only students had problems at medical school. Go and approach the dean's office. There'll be some system set up to help you. You know, when I was a tutor or lecturer, I used to get sent all the so-called problem medical students, people who didn't seem to be suitable for medical school. I often, after having a conversation with them, finding out that maybe their personality was a little bit different, but in fact it's just a very easily correctable, and I was able to rediscover with them true love for medicine and set them on their pathway. I tell you that now, I never recommended that anyone quit medicine. So most of it is correctable. The next thing is, maybe you're doing too much partying. Maybe you're not doing enough partying. If you're doing a lot of partying, you know, a lot of drinking, and please don't be doing any recreational drugs. I know there are some drugs like modafinil that can be useful for improving your intellectual functioning, but most drugs, marijuana, terrible things like ice, please don't use these. These will destroy your life and your career. You know, you can drink alcohol, that's fine, but you shouldn't be partying up more than maybe 1 or possibly 2 nights a week. On the other extreme, if you're not doing any partying at all, well, maybe you're living a monastic existence, lonely, isolated. No, you've got to enjoy what's available at university, at medical school, the societies, the clubs, all these other interesting people. Get to know them a little bit and branch out a little bit. So in summary, if you're having a tough time at med school, you're just about ready to be called up to the dean's office, all is not over. Consider these things. 1, do you really want to be a doctor? 2, I'm sorry, you've got to put up with some of these tough subjects in the early years of your medical curriculum. You just got to do them. Thirdly, if you're depressed, and please be honest with yourself, go and get some help. It's easily correctable. Next, go and have a talk to Dean's office. They're very sensitive. You know, Deans are usually quite nice people, you know. And lastly, either start partying or cut back on your partying. Good luck.